Leno's doctor, because those guys get like miracle cures happening.
I want to know,
Leno
like,
had a bad accident.
I didn't know that about
Two
Jay
of them.
Leno.
Leno got all
Two of
burnt
them.
up, and then he fell off a bike or something. What did he do the second time?
Yeah, I want to say like he just got to the point where he could wear a helmet again and then crashed.
Yeah.
If that's not right.
Yeah.
It's close.
It
And they're
sounded to
both
me like,
serious accidents.
Damn.
yeah, if anybody does, I assumed it was a carburetor fire. I assumed he was under the hood, like feeding fuel into the carburetor and
then boom.
turning it over, and it popped in his face. When I was in the burn unit that time, like getting my fucking hand scrubbed off, the guy that was sharing the room with me, he was a grown man, and he was moaning. He was already on morphine, but he was moaning, and I was like, my dad asked her, like, what happened to this gentleman that was in here earlier? She's like, he was working on a car and the carburetor backfired. That's what it was. Because that thing spits vapor and gasoline burning on you, and it burns you the fuck up before you can do anything. It's a real common thing. Just as common as children. Did y'all have any kids that went to school with you who had grease poured on them?
Grease poured on as a punishment?
Like it accidentally had like it comes off the counter, kid gets scalded with grease, and now they have like a grease
My
scar on them.
coworker's
Permanent
son
scar,
had
like right here or something.
similar.
Yeah.
They, you know what? And it scared me as a parent. So all they had was a really hot cup of coffee, and this kid was 2, and it could walk, it was a stupid 2-year-old, and it pulled the coffee off the kitchen counter onto himself, and he had bad burns on the side of his face and like his shoulder and into his chest.
Yeah.
So when I met the kid,
Poor kid.
he was like 4, and he had what I'll describe as like a wetsuit top on that he wore all the time as part of his skin healing process. He came from a wealthy family, so he was getting some good medical care.
Little scuba Steve over
His
there.
father owned an oil company.
His father owned an oil company.
You going
Really?
diving today, Steve? Shut up. You know I'm all burnt up from the coffee.
I'm all burnt up from
Fuck
the
you,
coffee.
Steve. Your dad owns 8 gas stations. God. Hope you turn into a Batman villain.
Jesus Christ.
What would his name be?
Ooh.
Like Grease Lightning or something.
Jesus.
I was gonna go to
That's pretty
Slippery
good.
Jeep, but that's grease lightning. No, there was a kid at my school, and he had been all burnt up by grease, and I remembered, like in elementary school, and I made note of that. There's a few like memories I have in my life where it feels like I mentally put up a signpost that I could look back and see brightly from any point in the future. And there was a moment where I went, grease is incredibly dangerous and must be respected, just like firearms and like threshers. And later on, I'll tell you, when I was in high school, I put up a road sign about metal lathes because I worked in a machine shop, and we had one in high school, and he showed us a video of what it could do to a man, getting sucked in by your hair and torn apart. And then you looked at this piece of machinery and you found that it had more power than you could comprehend. Like it turned anything, it could tear anything apart that you could put in it. And it's like, okay, signpost, respect to this. If you don't do that throughout your life, you'll eventually like fall into a thresher or something.
Most of the machines in my life, like if I grab them, they stop. If I get sucked into my vacuum cleaner, it gets stopped.
Yeah,
if I get hit by my ceiling fan, I don't like it, but the ceiling fan stops.
Yeah.
My tractor, for example, a human offers no resistance that the tractor takes notice of. And like Kyle said, respect that thing.
Yeah, so I put that grease respect there, and like, because I saw that kid all burnt up and scarred, and like it or not, like maybe not in everybody else's mind, but I was like, all right, well, like I don't want to be around you because you're like an other now. Like I don't. You're like a freak. I don't want to be around you. I won't say exactly how I knew this other person, but my mom used to make me go play with this kid who had all these like physical deformities. He was like missing some fingers, like multiple fingers. One hand was like 2 or 3 fingers, and his face was really ugly. Like I don't mean he was like a 5 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 3 out of 10. I mean his face was scary. It frightened me a little.
So was this an accident thing or born with it thing?
Born that way. And I remember telling her like I don't want to go. He's fucking scary to look at. I can't look at him in the face. And when I shook his hand, his fucking weird fingers felt weird. I don't want to go. And she's like, shit. Okay, you don't have to go. I was like, because I wasn't gonna go anymore. Like I met this kid before, and they're like, yeah, play with Billy No Fingers, and it's just like, fuck, no, I don't ever want to come back here again. I don't care how many
poor
toys this
Billy.
fucker has. I don't give a shit, man. That kid, no, it scared me as a kid. Go find somebody else who wasn't frightened of him.
I had a
Borrow
friend
his
when I was a
gloves.
kid. It was my mom's friend's son.
I'm
had-
still scared.
What is
He's
CP?
out there.
What is the mental disorder? Like CP? What is this? Cystic?
CP?
No, it's not cystic fibrosis. It's cerebral palsy. That's what I'm looking
Oh,
for.
yeah.
And anyway, so he had cerebral palsy, and I guess his parents were wealthy because his toy collection was outrageous. And the nature of his cerebral palsy,
you
he
were
was in a
gonna say
wheelchair, and his wrists were
Jesus.
always bent, like
I thought you were
sharply.
gonna say
and
greasy.
he had Legos that like every shelf, everything, and not just any Legos, but like the baller Legos, like Death Stars or something like that. Like and I'm like, they say you did all this, yet they feed you. Like, how did you put all these Legos together? I'm 7 and I see through this ruse.
Yeah.
They were trying
I
to
have
Helen
that.
Keller you, and at that age, you could still see through the bullshit. You're like, no, I couldn't put together the Millennium Falcon. There's no way this dummy did it. Like,
Oh, that was another thing. He got like really good grades in school. He got hundreds on everything, and they're like, he's such a genius. And I'm like, does no one else see his handler taking his tests for him? I can see it from my seat. Like everyone just pretending that the woman who, like, he's a personal tutor, so he's getting some extra help, but also they're like co-taking tests together.
Taylor,